Welcome to Take a Breath, a podcast for creating practical calm in the messy middle of midlife. I'm Polly, and this is your space to pause. Because life in midlife is full on, between work, family, menopause, and the mental load, your nervous system can easily end up in constant overdrive, leaving you feeling exhausted, reactive, and overwhelmed by even the smallest things. Each week, I'll share my own tools alongside honest conversations and practical nervous system support to help you create more calm, peace, joy, and inner steadiness, not by escaping your life, because that's totally unrealistic, but by meeting it differently. So whenever you're ready, let's take a breath in through the nose. Feel your belly rise, your ribs expand, and as you exhale, let's begin. Hello, and welcome back to Take a Breath. Now, on this episode, we're talking about birthdays. Now, perhaps you're someone who absolutely loves celebrating your birthday, or perhaps you're more of a, please don't fuss about me, I'm just going to quietly age in the corner kind of person. I have definitely been both over the years. Now, my guest today is Tamar Hurwitz-Fleming, and we're talking about her book, How to Have a Happy Birthday. Now, I know at first glance, this might all sound a bit trite. You might be thinking, really, Polly, an entire episode about birthdays? But please do stay with me, because this conversation goes a lot deeper than just cake and candles. Tamar's book is actually much more of a personal development book. And at its heart is the idea that we all have this one day every year that's meant to be just about us. And how we feel about that day can be incredibly revealing. So, for example, do you feel worthy of being celebrated? Do you give yourself permission to mark the day in a way that genuinely feels good? Or do you just brush it off or downplay it or do something that you think that you should do, like having a great big party when actually that's the last thing you really want to do? Because celebrating does not have to mean just balloons and banners and a load of people. You can celebrate yourself in so many different ways. So, for example, for my 50th birthday, which was a couple of years ago, yes, I hired a big house for the weekend, invited lots of friends and had a big party. But this year, on my 52nd birthday, my birthday fell on a Tuesday. I had no family around during the day. So I gave myself the day off. I went for a lovely walk. I ate some really nice food and I watched a film in the middle of the day, which is something I never do. It was super simple, but it was different to my usual routine and it felt really good. And that was something, do you know what, I've never done before. In the past, I would have just carried on and not valued myself to do something a bit different. I would have probably just worked through the day. So it's subtle, this, but actually I think it's really important. And it fits into this podcast because this podcast is all about creating practical calm in the messy middle of midlife. And part of that is learning to pause, to listen to ourselves and to honor what we actually want and need, rather than living on autopilot or following someone else's expectations. So this episode, it isn't really about birthdays. It's more about self-worth. It's about permission and how we care for ourselves in small, meaningful ways, even when life is super busy and demanding. I really do hope this conversation invites you to reflect not just on your birthday, but on how you allow yourself to be seen, to be celebrated, and to be cared for, not just by others, but also by yourself. So please welcome the brilliant Tamar Hurwitz-Fleming. Welcome to the podcast, Tamar. Really lovely to have you. We've made it work. Third time lucky, I think. So welcome, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Thanks, Polly. It's a delight to be here with you today.
Oh, well, we're here to talk about your book, How to Have a Happy Birthday, which I have here. I mean, my first question really, Tamar, is why did you write this book? What inspired you to write a book about birthdays? Because it's not a topic that we see written about hardly ever.
That's right. It's actually not written about at all. I believe I've got the first book of its kind out there.
Okay.
I've been paying attention to my birthdays for many, many, many years. And I noticed that I had bad birthdays, sad birthdays, happy birthdays, and that so much of it depended on my own energy and my own choice of how I embrace the day. But the reason I wrote the book, actually, there's a story about 15 years ago. I had a new friend and I said, "Hey, your birthday's coming up," because I knew that. And I said, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I don't like my birthdays." I'm like, okay, well, like many people, he just didn't get enough love. So on his birthday, I showed up with a box of donuts. I said, "Happy birthday." And he said, "I told you I don't like my birthday." And he got mad at me. And I'm like, whoa, he really means it. And I walked away with the donuts in hand. He didn't even keep the donuts. And I thought, there's something here. And that moment hit me. I think there's a book to be written here because I started in that moment understanding all the negative experience that I had had and people I knew had had and all the pain that can be wrapped around our birthday experience. And I thought there can be a different way. We can have happy birthdays if we choose to make them happy.
Okay, yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because birthdays for everyone have a very different feel about them in terms of how we think about them, how we feel about them. I mean, for you generally then, your past birthdays, were they happy, not so happy? I mean, you said that generally you like to celebrate.
Yeah. Growing up, I had happy birthdays. I had heartbreaking birthdays. My first birthday memory is when I turned 3. And I remember, getting a gift and I'm like, "What's this?" And I started crying. I remember when I was 5, I wanted friends to come over, but my mom's like, "No, it's just dinner time and we're having birthday pie for you after." And I felt like there's an injustice here. And I was so mad. I stuck my finger in the pie, like I knew something wasn't right because everybody else had their friends over for their birthday, but not me. So I was pretty aware of the birthday experience as a young child. But my worst birthday was really when I turned 18. And it was my first year away at university. I'm the baby of the family, 4 kids. And 18 is a milestone birthday. And I woke up that day with no plans except to receive all the phone calls that were going to come from my family wishing me a happy birthday. The phone calls never came. I was literally sitting by the phone waiting for it to ring and the calls didn't come. It was devastating. My family forgot me on my birthday. And it was not a good experience for me. It unfortunately reinforced a lot of negative self-image I had about myself. I wasn't important. I wasn't lovable. No one cared about me. And that became really true on that day with that absence of birthday energy towards me. 2 years later, though, I had a radically different experience. It was my first year away from home. I was junior year abroad studying. Actually, it wasn't the first year away from home, but it was my junior year abroad. I was overseas. And I woke up for my 20th birthday, another milestone. And there was no one around to do anything for me. And when I woke up, I thought, oh, I'm all alone. Today's my day. I'm going to take the day off of class. I'm going to walk through town, go window shopping. I bought myself a fancy bottle of French perfume I couldn't afford on my student budget. I had some college friends over for cake that night. I had the best birthday I'd ever had because I took charge of the day. And that's when I realized, oh, I get it. Outsourcing our birthday joy to others is a recipe for heartache. But when we take charge of our day and do what we want and make it our own, then we can have birthday joy.
I will only ever recommend brands that I know, love, and use myself. And one of those is Ancient and Brave. Honestly, they've become part of my daily habits. The very first thing I do every morning is pour myself a big glass of water with their true hydration in it. It feels like such a simple ritual, but it really sets me up for the day. And I know I'm properly rehydrating with their blend of electrolytes and minerals, especially before I exercise, which I always do in the morning. Then later on, when I make my coffee, I stir in their true collagen powder into the coffee. Now, it blends in straight away, no fuss, there's no taste, and collagen is something we naturally lose as we age, but it's so important for our skin, joints, and overall vitality. Now, I'll be honest, Ancient and Brave may cost a little more than some of the tubs you'll spot on supermarket shelves, But the difference is you're getting the highest quality ingredients, sourced with integrity and tested to a higher standard, and absolutely no nasties added. That's why I trust them and why I think they're worth every penny. And because I want you to be able to try them out for yourself, I've got a special offer for you. As a listener of this podcast, you can get 20% off your very first order. All you need to do is click the link in the show notes and pop in the code POLYW20 at checkout. They've got more than just collagen and hydration too. They've got creatine, they've got blends, supplements. So it's a perfect chance to explore their range and make the most of that 20% off. And have you done much kind of work with writing before writing this book? Because this book for me is, okay, it's about birthdays, but actually there's a lot more to it. It's more of a personal development book, really, when you get into the depths of it. Have you got a background in that? What is your background before we dive into
it's
some
a
of the
great
content?
question. I was in 7th grade counseling my girlfriends about their relationships that were going sour. I mean, I was born a counselor. I was born a therapist. I don't have that background, but I've been really I pay a lot of attention, and I observe the human condition, and I try and understand what's going on. And I've done that for myself. I've done that with my friends. And so I've just been able to figure stuff out. And the birthday experience for me, since I was 20 and had that great birthday and then started having, happy birthdays under my own control, I paid close attention to the energy that built before my birthday, to the energy of the birthday and the energy after. And I took notes for myself just in my own mental mind of like, oh, I get it. Don't plan a really big, I was a public speaker. I gave school assemblies to teach about the environment during my career. I'm like, don't plan a big assembly the day after your birthday, because you're going to be anxious on your birthday thinking like, tomorrow I got to get up early. I got to have my, do my thing. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of stuff I noticed over the years and that's really the wisdom I was able to put into the book, in addition to talking to many people about their birthday experiences and always asking the question, why? Why was it like that? What do you think is at the root of that? Because there's always an answer. You talk to anybody who doesn't like their birthdays, they're going to have an answer as to why they don't like their birthdays. They may not know it right away. Typically, it starts in childhood. There's something that happens that triggers birthday pain. I mean, I spoke with one woman and her birthday coincided with the opening of fishing season, and her dad would choose to go fishing. Like, I'm off, goodbye, and it'd be her birthday. And that really gave her this message from a very young age. She wasn't that important. We carry that with us, right? Birthdays are very sacred. We all know that. And whether we like our birthdays or not, we instinctively know that they're sacred because it's the day our life began. There's nothing more sacred than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I have a friend whose birthday is on the day before New Year's Eve, and she hates it because she never celebrates it, because she always presumes that everybody is going to not want to do anything with her because they're going to save themselves for New Year's Eve. I've got another friend whose birthday is on New Year's Day, so similarly thinks, oh, no one's going to want to celebrate because they would have been, celebrating then. And my daughter's birthday's 3 days before Christmas, and so I'm always very mindful for her to make it as special as possible before the Christmas celebration begins. But there isn't really, I don't think, a perfect date to have your birthday, but yet we put so much meaning into that day because it is a day which is all about you. And some people love that it's all about them, particularly, I suppose, if they've had a positive experience of it. But other people absolutely hate the idea of it being all about them. So what have you noticed in terms of trying to make this day a really happy day for everyone in that spectrum?
Great question. And so people that have their holidays that coincide with people that have their birthdays with the days that coincide with the holidays, the big holidays, like you just mentioned, have extra work to do to make their birthday happy. We're not going to curse the day they were born. We're not going to say, oh, my birthday sucks because I'm born, right before New Year's and no one wants to party with me. We can say, hey, that's harder for me because I want what everybody else has the rest of the year, which is all my friends come out, we go have a big party. First off, I'd say ask some of your friends if they would celebrate your day with you. And maybe it's not a late night party out at the bars, but maybe it's a birthday cake party in the evening or high tea in the afternoon. I mean, there's plenty of ways to celebrate your birthday the day before New Year's Eve with people that will want to show up for you. But if they can't, and if they're not around, and if they're out traveling, visiting their friends, their family in other places, you have to put more creative energy and more thoughtfulness into how to make your day special. And there are plenty of ways to do that when you start asking yourself, what actually would bring me joy today? Maybe it's a spa day with you and just one other person, or by yourself. Or maybe it's, I'm going to be creative today and I'm going to make myself a beautiful birthday collage that's going to reflect to me what I want to manifest for the coming year. Or maybe I'm going to go take myself to the nearby town and have a wonderful lunch. And even though, some of this can be done in a solitary manner, which can seem sad, like, why am I by myself? Where is everybody? You can have a party a week earlier when everybody's, around, or 2 weeks earlier, or even a month earlier in anticipation of your birthday. But when your birthday rolls around, that actual day, that is the most powerful day of your year. It's the most spiritual day of your year. You're in total alignment with your spirit on your birthday. So maximize that power, turn on that light, and you can actually feel a radiance come through. You can feel healing energy come through, birthday magic. It's all there for you. You just have to open up to it and be willing to receive it. For those of you that don't like being the center of attention on your birthday, I understand that. Some people don't want the attention. They don't want people singing to them. They don't want that day to be about them. I would ask, are you somebody who tends to be a people pleaser? Typically, a lot of people who don't like their birthdays, typically women, is because they're so concerned with pleasing other people. They don't actually know how to say, okay, today's for me. So I would actually invite you to consider that maybe you do get to have one day of the year where you are the center of your life. You don't have to be the center of everybody else's, but you're the center of your life. You put the pause button on other people's needs and you say, what would delight me for my birthday? Don't wake up and ask yourself that. Think about it in advance so you can plan for it. Because if it is a high tea with some friends, you have to plan for that, make reservations. If it is a spa day, you have to plan for that, make reservations. If it is a day off work, and that is something I encourage everybody to do, is take the day off work, assuming you can, and have that day be what you want it to be. Turn on the music and dance in your living room. Sleep in late. Watch your favorite reruns with popcorn. I mean, do whatever you want to bring you joy, but ask yourself in advance, what would make me happy? And allow yourself to do that.
I was just thinking about my last birthday. So I turned 52 on my last birthday. It was on a Tuesday, which is always a bit of a kind of, well, you would always think, oh, it's a bit of a weird day. And I did actually celebrate with some friends at the weekend before. But actually, and on the Tuesday, two of my children are now away from home. One was at school. My husband was at work in London. I had a few bits of work to do, but I intentionally did that. I kind of made sure I had quite a clear diary that day. And I just loved it. I had a day to myself. I love my own company, and it's really lovely to embrace that company of yourself. And I just made sure I did some really lovely things for myself. I went and had a really lovely coffee. I sat on the sofa and I watched a film, which I never do on my own during the day. And that was really fun and really lovely. And yeah, I just felt like I treated myself. It was like, yeah, I absolutely deserve this. But it's taken a while to be able to get to a point where that feels comfortable, because and I think it comes down to that self-worth, doesn't it? It's like, I deserve to do exactly as I please on this day, because I would not have been comfortable doing that for many a years. So what you said about, if you don't like celebrating your birthday, it's really important to ask yourself why. What is that all about? Because you might be able to get under the hood and actually notice some of these more unhelpful patterns. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. This is a self-help book. Mm-hmm. This How to Have a Happy Birthday is a deep self-help book. It's easy to get into. I mean, it's not heavy reading, but it's not about how to match your balloons with your cupcakes. It's not a party planning book, right? It's really about what's going on. We all deserve to have one day. It's just one day a year, Polly. It's just one day a year where we get to press the pause button on life, put ourselves into the center of our life, and do what delights us. Everybody allows us to have it because everybody else gets that one day a year. Mm-hmm. It's an equal opportunity provider, right? We all get the same 24-hour period, one day a year. So, and we all know we're special on our birthdays. I mean, I know if you were to tell me today it was your birthday, oh my God, wow, I'd be so excited. It's like you're a sacred person today, right? We all know that when we know it's somebody else's birthday. There's a natural radiance that we spark for other people. Well, what about if we spark that for ourselves? And it sounds like on your most recent birthday, you had a wonderful day. right? You did what you want. You like your own company. What's better than to celebrate? And you allowed yourself to because you knew it was a special day. And that's what I'm asking everybody to consider. Your birthday is a special day because you are a miracle. Everybody who was born is a miracle. We all deserve to celebrate ourselves. And it's up to us to learn how to and to practice putting ourselves in the center of our life to actually celebrate our birthday so that it can uplift us. And guess what? Actually teach us how to do that every other day of the year. Not that you're going to celebrate your birthday every other day of the year, but what does it mean to put up some boundaries to say, hey, what do I want to do? What's best for me? Right? Why don't I want to celebrate myself? These are all powerful questions and experiences that can inform the rest of the year.
You talk about in your book birthday avoidance versus birthday positivity, which I'm presuming is exactly this. It's what we're talking about. It's about
Yeah.
looking at why you might be avoiding and actually making it more positive. So I really love what you're saying. It's a really good opportunity. And I would go as far to say, actually, okay, your birthday's a really good starting point, and it is a time in a point in time where absolutely you really have to celebrate yourself. But you could do this any day in terms of giving yourself some space and time to do the things that you love. So let's talk about some of the other things that you talk about which really help you to plan a positive birthday. So you talk about purpose. So tell me, how does that fit in with all of this?
Well, the birthday does represent the day you were born.
Mm-hmm.
And so why were you born? Why were you born? And you can look back on your life and look at the positive impact you've had. Hopefully you've had positive impact. I think every one of us has had a positive impact, whether it's in a, micro level 1-to-1 or a macro level 1-to-many. This is a powerful question to ask ourselves. And a lot of us go through life, we don't actually know what our purpose is because we're expecting some big, grand, vision, when really it's to show up as a kind person. It's to be nurturing to our family, right? It's to help role model patience. I mean, there are certain qualities that we emanate as human beings that are very powerful as we role model them in our life without even realizing, like, oh, this is part of my life purpose. And so, but I think that when we become more conscientious and aware of what our good sides are, and what kind of good work we're putting into the world, it helps us certainly feel better about ourselves. It helps us turn up the volume on those qualities, because I do believe that we all have something to offer, whether it's creatively or through our own, compassion or our work, our hard work. A lot of us like to be of service to other people. We feel really fulfilled. I mean, there are many ways that our purpose flourishes, and a birthday is a wonderful opportunity to tune in and say, what's my life about? And some of it is just like, this is a life for me to have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe we have a lot of lifetimes. At one time, it just isn't it. It explains a lot of resonances we have, a lot of traumas we have, a lot of wisdoms we have, having had multiple lifetimes. So what's this lifetime about? And I know when I look at my own life, there's a lot of answers to what this lifetime is about, but one of them is to have more fun, to not be so mired in the weightiness of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've tackled weighty issues in my career and in my life, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy doing it and have a light heart when I do that. And I think that that's an important experience in this human journey, is how can we approach our life with a lighter heart? And I think that the birthday gives us an opportunity to approach our life with an open heart, but also to bring in the lighter heart as we celebrate ourselves and raise that energy on our own behalf to say, wow, I'm here, I'm having a life, and there's some wonderful parts about it. There's some parts I maybe don't like so much, and maybe I want to work on them in the coming year if I can. The birthday is a personal new year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really good to look forward to the year ahead and say, okay, what do I want to accomplish or achieve or get rid of in this year? And I don't mean like, I'm ready to go to the gym, but like on a deeper level, where is it working? Where is it not working? What small steps can I make in this coming year to manifest more of the life that I want to be living? And a birthday is a wonderful opportunity to ask yourself that question, because you don't want to wake up one day, 20 years from now, and be 72 and say, wait, what happened? What happened to me in my life? Why was I abdicating myself? Why wasn't I standing up for myself? Why wasn't I doing what I wanted to do? We don't want those regrets at the end of our life. And so a birthday gives us one day a year to tune in and ask ourselves those questions. You can do it every other day of the year, but a birthday is a great day for that.
And I've never really thought of a birthday as a time of reflection, because you're so caught up in your definition of what a birthday has always meant for you. But I love that idea of actually reflecting, am I where I want to be? If not, what can I bring more into what can I bring more of into my life, or what can I release and let go? It is, as you said, it's like a special personalized new
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
opportunity for you to move towards the life that you really, really want to be living. And yeah, it's such a special day because obviously this is we came into the world.
That's
And so
right.
of course it's a great opportunity to reconsider your values, think about your purpose, all of it. So I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I really love
Yeah.
that. What would you say to those people who are, and particularly people around my age who might start to think, oh gosh, it's another birthday. I'm feeling older. I don't want to get older. Perhaps a big landmark birthday. I've never had a problem about getting older. I really feel for me, it's not a problem. I think it's a privilege. But I
Yes.
know that there's a lot of people who don't feel like that. What would you say to them, Tamar?
Well, there's several things I would say. First off, as women, there's a lot of pressure on us to stay young, stay attractive, stay sexy, stay desirable.
Mhm.
Our power is very much related to that. And as we get older and our bodies start to change and we start to change out of that young, version of ourselves, it can be hard to accept this newer version that we're growing into because we feel it's a loss, right? It's a loss of power,
Mhm.
identity, attractiveness, the whole thing. Even childbearing capacities, right? And that's where we talk about menopause and all of that. I want to challenge that. And I want to say that aging is a privilege, as you said, that every extra candle on the cake represents a blessing that we get to be here another year. We all know people who didn't make it to our age. And if they were here, would we judge them for being older? No, we would celebrate them and be delighted that they were still here. So I just want to just put that out, that gratitude for being able to have another year is a big way to step into a better mindset about getting older. Also, I've been hearing women say, women in their 30s, even 40s saying, I'm starting to feel invisible. And I want to challenge that also. Yes, I'm 59 and 11/12. I will be 60 in 1 month. It's a big milestone birthday. 60 is a big age. I can feel that. It represents a lot. There's less time ahead of me. Oh, I guess I am mortal after all. I'm
Yep.
entering my senior years. I mean, there's a lot wrapped into that. But that milestone is also encouraging me to be more intentional about my life, to turn up the volume on what it is that I want. So it's actually a good thing. I like that. But when women who are aging say, I start to feel invisible, I am invisible to the 20 somethings and 30 somethings that I used to be visible to when I was that age. And what I realize is we're not invisible to our peer group. We age with our peer group. We see our peer group. I walk in the market and I see my peer group. Like, oh, I see you, 59-and-a-half-year-old woman or 60-year-old man. I see you. You're my peer. And I love aging with my peer group. I'm not invisible to them. They're not invisible to me. So I just want to say that because, yes, I'm invisible to the 20-year-olds. Great. I don't particularly want to be visible to them anyway. I don't, unless it's like a family member or a neighbor, there's not much there, right? In the way that there is with my peer group. I'm not dismissing intergenerational friendships, of course, but I'm just saying let's reframe this idea of visibility and acknowledge that we are visible to our peer group. And also, as we age, there's so much pressure from society and from the market to buy the products to keep us as youthful as possible for as
Hmm.
long as possible.
Yeah.
And I want to challenge that as well. We certainly all get to age as we wish, but I want to be an old looking lady. I want to look old one day. I want to be an old woman with white hair and wrinkles, and I want to role model that. What does it mean to be an old woman with wrinkles, still with my radiance and my vitality and my empowerment? I want to role model that for my young nieces and their children. I don't have children of my own, but I have my sister's offspring that are my family. I want to be an old woman for them. I feel like we're disappearing. I feel like old people, not completely, but I mean, certainly in certain cultures, we're not letting ourselves look old. And I think that's a miss, actually. I think there's a lot of beauty in aging. We just have to see it that way and not feel ashamed by our wrinkles and our graying hair. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But it takes a lot of courage sometimes to step out of the peer pressure from
Hmm.
our peer group to look as young as possible, as long as possible. So again, we age as we will, whatever makes you feel good. But sometimes we feel very insecure that we start doing stuff to ourselves as a way to feel more secure. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just breeds more insecurity as age marches on. I don't know. But what about if we just say, let it be? Let's see what nature has in store for me.
Yeah, I think a big issue with this is that historically, the way that men will look at a woman who is older is obviously not the same. You know, they will always go for the younger model, the younger woman. And that, I think, we've got to move away from that, because we've got to be more content and happy within ourselves to be ourselves. And as you say, absolutely own that, so
Yeah.
that we can move away from this, like, well, this is what a man expects me to be. So that this is how I am. And I just, as you say, you can radiate beauty from within if you are absolutely owning who you are, no matter what you look like. So there is definitely, I mean, there's definitely a way to go in women being confident enough to really own that and let that go. And I think you're right, we're being bombarded from every single angle to try and look younger. Well, not to age
Not
as
to
we do
age. Yeah.
age, not necessarily look younger, but just to keep well. I mean, I'm a great advocate for maintaining health in the
Yes.
way that I want to be strong, I want to be fit, I want to be able to keep mobile and flexible and all those things so that I can live a very vibrant life for as long as possible. So it's not, and I think if we're doing that, you're naturally going to look great because you're
Hmm.
looking after yourself. I think it's when
Yeah.
you let yourself go totally, when actually that's when you probably start to not enjoy the way that you're looking
Yeah, or feeling in your body,
or
right?
feeling.
For sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's no question that health is an investment to make in your future. I mean, we all, try and invest in our wealth, but if you're not investing in your health, you're missing half of the joy and half of the riches of aging in a healthy, fit body. So you're right about that, eating right, all of that. I just want to say something about men preferring younger women.
Yeah,
I've
go.
been doing a lot of thinking about this.
Yeah.
So some wise woman once said to me in my 20s, she said, nature points the way. If you have any questions about anything, look to nature. So if you think about it, a 70-year-old man, a 60-year-old man, a 50-year-old man, they can still make babies.
Mm-hmm.
A 70-year-old woman cannot, 60-year-old woman typically cannot. It is actually really good for the human species and the replication of our DNA that older men are attracted to younger women. That's a good thing. That helps the species procreate, right? So let's look at it like that. Let's not make more of it than that. Oh, it's just DNA wanting to replicate itself when the 60-year-old man's looking at the 30-year-old woman, right? That's just all it is. And they're not looking at me. They're looking at that 30-year-old woman for that reason alone. And so if we can put that in its place, that again is a good thing for the animal, the human being, the animal that we are. That's a good thing. But let's not let it have more meaning than that. Let's not let it define our worth. A man's attention to me versus a 30-year-old woman, he doesn't get to define my power or my worth if he finds me attractive or not. To be honest, I don't really care if he finds me attractive or not. That's not how I define my worth. Maybe when I was a younger woman, I was wired that way because, again, I wanted to procreate as an animal. I did not in this lifetime. I'm actually happy about that. But as a younger woman, that's what you do. You put on the makeup, you put on the miniskirt, you walk around, you're trying to, have your flower pollinated. That's natural,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah,
nature at work. We're animals. Let's not forget that. So, but as I've aged and certainly being postmenopausal, a lot of that is like, okay, we're out of that stage, right? And so what does it mean for me to have my power intact as I age? That's for me to determine. This is the journey of my soul in this lifetime. And it's mine. Nobody gets to do it for me. Nobody gets to take it away from me. And it can be challenging as women to age with our power. If we don't have our power, if we don't feel like we have our power when we're 59 or 52, it's possible we never felt it when we were 40 or 42, right? It's empowerment as a woman is a real journey where it's not about what other people think about us and how we can please other people and do for others, but it's like, how do we put ourselves in the center of our life and live an authentic life according to what motivates us and inspires us and how we want to be? That's part of the journey. And I think as we get older, it can be in some ways more challenging, but also easier to ask ourselves those questions because we have less patience for wasting time. And also, the other thing about nature is that when you hit menopause, those hormones that leave the building are the hormones that help us actually raise our children, where we care about their needs ahead of our own, right? It's actually a good thing as women that we're so mindful of our family community to take care of them so that they survive. So that's part of being an animal also. But again, menopause comes, that goes out the window. And what's left is whoever we want to be.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We just give less
Yeah.
of a fuck, basically, when
Yeah.
we have those hormones go, and
Yeah.
we can live our lives in a way that actually is right for us, and we stop worrying about everybody else. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it is great. We've got more time and more space, and that is why it's so important, I believe, to build that relationship with yourself more than anybody else, because and discover the things which light you up and light up your
Yes.
soul, and so that you can fill your time with those things, because otherwise, yes, you're going to be reliant on an external factor like a relationship with, well, I mean, I'm fortunate enough, I'm very happily married. But if
Yeah.
if you're relying on other things, though, to bring you that joy and happiness rather than just yourself initially, that is it's a recipe for disaster. You've got to have
Well, and
that.
some of us need people. Some of us really need people in our lives, and that's a wonderful thing. We're not saying, okay, go be alone,
Yes.
everybody, and find your joy. Some people, that's not their joy. They need people. That's fine. But don't abdicate yourself in that
Yes,
process. That's really
exactly.
what the message
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
And the birthday, once again, gives us an opportunity to say, okay, today's my day. I'm putting myself in the center. What's best for me? What do I want? How do I get to celebrate myself? How do I get to tune in and really exalt in who I am in this lifetime? One of the things that I do um, to really make my birthday feel special and spiritual is I create a birthday altar the night before my birthday. I find a space in my home, I clear it, I bring in a happy birthday banner, flowers, photos of myself from childhood, photos of my parents who are no longer alive, mementos of what I want to manifest for the coming year. Whatever it is, I create a beautiful space. It's at nighttime. I turn down the lights, I put up the music, I decorate this birthday altar, and that's like turning a light switch on for the birthday spirit. And that really helps create a sacred space that's delightful and joyful and celebratory. And then in the morning when I wake up, my house is ready. I'm ready for my day. I spend some moments in front of my birthday altar, having a quiet moment with myself, tuning into my spirit, offering gratitude for the life that I'm living, and really getting grounded with myself before the day takes off. I have found that if I don't have a quiet moment with myself in the morning, even if it's journaling or having a cup of tea in the garden, um, I feel like my birthday took off without me. Like, wait, where am I? Like I need to get present with myself on my birthday in the morning. And that is a trick that I learned years ago that has really helped me be present for the days that unfolds and not try and script everything, but let the magic happen. Birthday magic happens. Turn on the radio and see what kind of songs play to you. It's amazing what can come through on your birthday. There's all sorts of ways that if you start paying attention, you start to see the good luck that's coming your way because it's your birthday.
Going back to something you said earlier on, it's like it's important to craft the day in the way that you want, because if you don't take charge of your own day, then actually it's, anything can happen and it's not the day that you want. What's a framework that you suggest that we could use to craft that day so that it is something special, and it is a day where we can just really truly just get into enjoy, and actually we limit the amount of disappointment or noise or other things which might happen?
So you have to, your birthday is a major holiday. And just like any major holiday, you need to plan for it. So start thinking about your birthday 4 to 6 weeks in advance. If you're going to read my book or actually give it as a gift, a good time to give it is 4 to 6 weeks in advance. If you're going to give this as a birthday present, give it to somebody 4 to 6 weeks in advance of their 6 weeks in advance of their birthday. Say, here's an early birthday present. And the reason I say that is because it it's a book that helps you figure out how to plan for your birthday, but planning for your birthday is key. You have to start thinking about, what do you want to do? Again, if you want a reservation at your favorite restaurant, you've got to make that reservation, because if you wake up the morning of your birthday and you want to be spontaneous, that can be a recipe for disaster, actually. Like, okay, I want a massage. Oh, it's not available. I want a manicure, not available. I want my haircut, not available. My restaurant reservation, not available. My friends, not available. We've been through that. We all know that experience of not making plans, waking up, and then being constantly disappointed because what we would like to do is not possible to us. So plan for success. Plan for success. Think about what you want to do. And you may not know a month in advance, but as you keep thinking about it, maybe there's a new museum exhibit that's opening up in town and you want to go, you want to take a friend. But again, you have to think about that. So really planning, I can't underestimate the value of planning and allowing yourself to do what you want, not what's going to make people in your family or your friends happy? What do you want to do? That's the number one question. And then you plan into that. And if you want to include people, family, or friends, ask them to support your success. So, hey, I want to have a birthday party with cake for my birthday, but I don't just want one cake. I want 5 different cakes. Can you each bring a cake? Just avoid chocolate because I don't want to eat chocolate at night. It'll keep me up, right? Be very clear about what you want. And then say, bring what you want, just as long as it's not chocolate. Or your family, one of the best presents my husband gives me, and he knows this, and he plans for it, is he writes me a love letter. And he spends a very, thoughtful amount of time crafting this beautiful letter, and he types it up and pastes it in the card. And it brings me to tears every year. And so, have your children make something for you, write you a poem. And that kind of planning in advance, asking for what you want, can nourish and lift the spirit in such a deep and meaningful way that when your birthday ends, ideally, you feel so deeply nourished and satisfied that you've celebrated a birthday in a happy way.
Yeah. Yes, that's so funny because my husband is notorious as well at writing little notes or poems as well. And
Oh,
and
that's
actually
nice.
I mean when the children actually make an effort to write something nice, I mean for me that's
Right?
always enough. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I don't need presents, but
No,
just a few gorgeous words it's just so lovely.
exactly. But, if we don't have that being given for us to just sit and wait and have somebody read our mind is a recipe
Yes.
for disappointment. We have to communicate like, hey, I heard this podcast and it occurred to me my birthday's coming up and I want to try something different this year. Instead of giving me a material gift, or go ahead and give me a material gift, sure. I want you to write me something special or make me something special. Ask for it.
What are some of the things which we really should not do on our birthdays?
Well, one of the things that we should not do is plan a day and be attached to it strong, like it has to go as planned, because that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Plan what you want and then be open and go with the flow. When we get so
Mhm.
rigid, like, well, wait, I was supposed to start this at 3 o'clock and it's, 4 o'clock. It's like, okay, it's 4 o'clock because you had extra time in the morning spending with your friends and you didn't realize it would go longer than that. It's okay. Unless you're missing an appointment. So plan for your best and then let it go. So that's number one. Number two is, avoid getting into heavy conversations right before your birthday. We get sensitive as our birthday approaches, as the days that approach, we start to feel emotional, whether we realize it or not, that's what's going on as our birthday's approaching and we're feeling the sensitivity of it. And so we are going to be much more likely to get our feelings hurt if someone says something the wrong way or with the wrong tone. We might be more willing to pick at somebody if we're irritated and we feel like something's going on. I'm going to take it out on you. So I'm just saying, be mindful of that. Or someone might bring up a conversation that may not be that emotional, but it's like, what, let's postpone this for a few days. My birthday's tomorrow. I don't need to get into this right now. So watch for the traps, the emotional traps that are there for us. That if there's any part of us that sabotages our birthday joy, because a lot of us do that. Chapter 2 of the book is called The Birthday Blues. And I talk all about birthday sabotage, which is what we do subconsciously. When we don't really believe we deserve to have a happy birthday, we find all sorts of creative subconscious ways to sabotage our birthday joy, right? We don't plan for our birthday. We don't tell people it's our birthday. We pick a fight or we get in a fight or we turn up the volume on our anger because we want to just squelch any positive energy that might show up the next day for our birthday, let's say. So, we don't take the day off work, whatever. But there's ways that we can get in our own way for our birthday joy. And so by becoming mindful of them, we can say, okay, not this year. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm actually going to give myself a chance to have a happy birthday.
Yeah, it is interesting because when you think of certain people through the years and their birthday, lots of people really do not want to celebrate their birthdays, or sometimes some years they do, and other years really not. And actually, it's a very good opportunity just to get curious as to, where they're at. And if they are someone who normally does like to celebrate, and actually there's one year where they're going, no, I'm just not doing anything. It might be an opportunity to just ask a few questions just to see how they are and understand where they're coming from. Because you're right, it is a reflection of how you are feeling in that moment. Yes, I'm going to go all out and celebrate myself, or no, actually, I feel a little bit more withdrawn and I don't really feel like it, which
Yeah.
is something I've just really just thought about just right now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And every year's different. I write in my book, my 51st birthday was very painful to me. There was a young cousin, a beloved cousin, had died by suicide just a couple weeks earlier. And then a few days earlier, another cousin, one of my best friends, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He had a death sentence now suddenly, that was a very difficult birthday for me. But I still had a birthday. I still went out with my friends that night and had a serious conversation about what was going on for me. I didn't avoid my birthday. I didn't abdicate my birthday that year. It was still a powerful and important birthday for me, even though it was fraught with grief. And that's okay. Every birthday is going to be different. The first birthday after my parents died was emotional for me. They'd always been there since the day I was born, you know.
Mm. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, because these birthdays, it's a landmark day in the
Yeah.
year, and when you lose someone, that's going to leave a gaping
Yeah.
hole in that day where when they've always been there, and so they can be very difficult birthdays for that
Yeah.
reason. Is
Yeah.
that they're another they're like the first time you're going to celebrate your
Yeah.
birthday without that loved one,
Yeah.
and then each year you'll that comes to mind again. So
Yeah. And that's going to happen in life from birthday to
yeah.
birthday. But, I always say a broken heart is an open heart. And so in missing my parents on my birthday, I feel them even strongly. I feel their spirits very strong on my birthday. And they're there for me every day, but especially on my birthday. It's just a matter of tuning in into a different
Mhm.
dimension, really. But sadness is not a reason not to have a birthday. A diagnosis, some of us get diagnosed with illness that's not looking good. That's not a reason not to have a birthday. My cousin, he was dying, and for his final birthday, he died at the age of 68. So for his 68th birthday, he went on a road trip a couple hours away and stayed at a nice hotel and had a nice meal and had a nice birthday, understanding that it was most likely his last. I mean, that's a pretty serious thing to experience, but he still showed up for himself and had a lovely day. And so, just because life throws things at us that don't feel so uplifting, it doesn't mean we can't show up for ourselves anyway, exactly as our life is in that moment, and do our best to have a happy
Yeah,
birthday, regardless of what that looks like.
yeah, and what I'm also hearing is that it's really important not to expect it all to be perfect.
Right.
It's a day. I mean, it's an important day, but it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. It kind of makes me think. We're approaching Christmas as we're having this conversation. Is making me think about that as well. It's Christmas. There's an awful lot of people put a lot of stress and pressure on themselves to
Yes.
have this perfect day, and actually, it's about. For me, it's about really deciding the feel of that day that you want to have. And so, as long as you're getting that feel, all the other stuff doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But so I kind of love that. I'm thinking for my next birthday, my 53rd birthday, I'm going to really think about the way I want to feel on
Yeah.
that day, and that is going to be, how do I bring that forward?
Yeah.
I mean, it's my daughter's birthday actually in a week's time, on the 22nd, and with my kids, it's funny. I think there's been tears on all their birthdays because not out of lack of us trying to give them a really happy birthday, but because I don't know, there's something which hasn't gone there. The kids get so excited about their birthdays and it's got to be exactly the way they want, but perhaps haven't communicated it in the way that
Yeah.
they want to have it. And so often there is tears or,
Yeah.
something doesn't work out. So as a parent now, I'm just trying to kind of go, right, what do you want? Let's,
Yeah.
really ask
Yeah.
them, what is it? So I mean, is that what you would suggest, particularly
That's exactly right.
for kids and trying to get them to experience the best possible birthday that there is?
Absolutely. So your birthday's coming up. I'm really excited because it's the day you were born, which is so special and sacred to all of us. What would make you happy? What would you like to do? And what can I do to help you do that?
Hmm.
Right. So depending on their age, right? So there's that. And then honor their wish. Because a lot of times we think, well, you should want to have a big party with all your friends. And they're like, I just want to hang out with one friend and play video games. Right. So honor what the request is, but also say, but let's have a moment, create a birthday, let's create a birthday altar together on birthday eve. Go ahead and put up the birthday, decorate for your birthday, just like you do for Christmas. So put up the birthday banner. Let's create a special space for you that And in the morning, let's have a quiet moment together, and let's name three things. What are three things you're grateful for in your life? Help your child, really of any age, and you can do this even starting young. I think it's a lovely ritual to just go into the garden, depending on the time of year, or if you even have a garden. But sit with a cup of tea in the morning, light the fire in the fireplace, do whatever can create a little moment to say, okay, your day's beginning. I'm so glad you're here. I love you so much. I'm so grateful you're born for because I love the way you're. What are three things you're grateful for in your life? When we start our day with gratitude, we start our day with spirit. And when we start our day with spirit on the most spiritual day of our year, which is our birthday, we set ourselves up to have a fulfilling day from the inside out. And that's true power. And that's true joy. And then we can go have fun.
Tamar, thank you. This has been absolutely lovely to talk to you, and it's really made me think about birthdays at a lot deeper level. Along with your book, which is out, How to Have a Happy Birthday, you also have a workbook, How to Have a Happy Birthday workbook. How can someone use the workbook to help them have a happy birthday?
Well, the workbook is really a way. It's in a journal format. Answer the questions as deeply and honestly as you can, to just say, hey, what have your experiences with your birthday been? Where has the hard parts been? And why do you think that is? What are your feelings about aging? What do you think you've lost as an older person that you don't have as a younger person? But then I also ask, what is it that you have now that you didn't have before? List that out too. Right. So, or also, ideas, but what are some things that would spark your day? And there's answering questions. Who are your three favorite people that you rarely see? We all have favorite people that we rarely hang out with for whatever reason. Go make lunch plans with them for your birthday. Right. So there's suggestions. There's just ways to spark ideas for you in terms of the insight as to what your birthday avoidance might come from, where it might come from, and then ways to feel excited about what you can create for your day. Again, it's really helpful to do 6 weeks before your birthday so that you can start to plan. Because here's the thing. Imagine that you are reading a book about how to celebrate Christmas, but you're reading it in March, right? Doesn't it? It kind of makes a lot more sense when you're reading it in October and November. So doing this work as your birthday is approaching lets you actually put that newly found inspiration and motivation to work quickly. And I think that helps turn it around for you so that you can have as happy and happy is a big word. And I say happy because it's a good word to use for your birthday. But what about fulfilling? We can have a fulfilling birthday. It doesn't have to be happy and joyful, but it can be fulfilling, deeply fulfilling and enriching. And that's for us to figure out. It's time for us to take charge of our birthdays, make it be what we want so that we can feel grateful that we're alive and grateful that we get another year to be alive.
And so your suggestion is send this to a person 6 weeks before their birthday as an early birthday gift so that they can plan out their birthday. Where can people find that from, Tamar?
Well, if you're, it sounds like you're in the UK, you can go onto Amazon and find both books on Amazon. If you're in the United States, and maybe in the UK, you can ask your local bookseller for the book. The workbook is Amazon only, but the Happy Birthday book is available wherever books are sold in the United States. I don't know about the UK, but Amazon. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I've really, really enjoyed it. If anybody wants to come and connect with you elsewhere, where can they come and find you? Your website, social media?
Yeah. So my website has all that information on it, and my website is howtohaveahappybirthday.com. So howtohaveahappybirthday.com, you can contact me. I'm also a birthday coach. So if you want any guidance in advance of your birthday and talk it out with me, I'm happy to do that. And I have, an ebook, an audiobook, hardback, paperback, all of that. So howtohaveahappybirthday.com. And Polly, I want to thank you for welcoming me to your show today. I loved our conversation, and I hope it helps your listeners be inspired for their next birthday.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure it will. Thank you, Tamar. Before you go, just to let you know that you'll find a selection of gentle, practical offers at really accessible prices over on my website. They're all designed to support your everyday breathing, to ease anxiety, and help you build a more resilient, flexible nervous system so you can feel calmer and bring a little more steadiness into your daily life. Everything I share is designed to meet you where you are and to fit into real busy lives. Just go to hollywarren.com and click on the resource library. If you'd like to stay connected between episodes, you can also find me over on Instagram at Polly Warren Coaching. This is where I share simple reminders and tools and reflections to help you come back to calm throughout the week. And if you're enjoying Take a Breath, it would mean so much if you could take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It really does help this podcast reach more women who might need a little space to breathe too. Thank you so much for being here and for taking this time for yourself. And remember, sometimes all you need to do is take a breath.